to push for member states to ratify the treaty. My predecessor's commitment as a male politician were appreciated by his colleagues all over Europe. In the uprising of the #MeToo movement, with increased awareness among the public of dangers of patriarchal culture and traditional gender roles, I think we, as men, need to be humble when addressing gender issues. We need to avoid the risk of appearing mansplain. All the more when, as in the case of with gender-based violence, we are largely a part of the problem. As my dear colleague Petra said in the report and in the opening of this event, not all men are perpetrators, but most perpetrators of gender-based violence are men. Men's contribution to tackling violence is therefore necessary. So I'm grateful to you, Petra, who very seriously and very effectively womansplained in the report that inspired today's round table. And I don't think this is a very round table, but I look forward to after I'm done speaking. And you must stop me, Petra, if I talk too much, but I can continue. Thank you. A part of the change of mindsets is connected to the functioning of our societies. Preventing and combating gender-based violence against women and girls thus goes hand in hand with concrete actions to provide a more equal society at all levels. The adopted resolution stresses that promoting mindful masculinities and equal share of care responsibilities between women and men will be a step towards a more equal society and will be beneficial to all of the people. Taking care of children is not a woman's or a man's job, it is a privilege and a responsibility of all parents. So-called traditional family values aim at promoting a patriarchal system based on supposed differences between women and men. I strongly disagree with this kind of system and believe in the sharing care of responsibilities, which needs to be facilitated for all professions in the society. Therefore, I look forward to taking my parental leave with my son in the coming months. This speech is in fact my last mission as a Member of Parliament for a while, as I replace my suit and documents with diapers and a pram on Monday. So this is my last hooray. And I believe the coming time will make me stronger as a human being and as a politician engaged in the fight for gender equality and against gender-based violence. Thank you.
Thank you. And I really had to think of Jacinda Ardern when you started your speech. This is the first time I've done this. I've never done this before. I don't think that in many peace events, a male politician started his speech like this. So showing openness, wanting to learn, I think this is what Jacinda Ardern also said in her speech. You can be compassionate and strong at the same time. This is not something for one specific gender, but something that the first minute I saw you in Paris, I thought, this is the type of leadership we need. Compassionate, strong, committed leadership. So thank you for that, Evan. It has nothing to do with age. It has to do with leadership. Thank you very much. Now, I would like you to look around you, and I want to know, who is sitting next to somebody you know very well? Raise your hands. Are there people you don't know? Raise your hands. Maybe look with your, maybe you could you stand up? Please, in silence. Can you stand up in silence? We're not going to do yoga, don't worry. Please get up, get up. It's not possible in silence. Now, what I would like you to do for the next 3-4 minutes, to seek out somebody you have never spoken before and ask one question. What do you think we can do better to involve men and boys in this topic? Please find somebody you can walk around. Please stay in the room. Find somebody to talk. What can you do better? Thank you well. You can now take your seats. Thank you well. Goed gesproken, dame. Zie jij daar toevallig naambordjes liggen?
Nee.
I'm fine. Good to see you. Spina, your nameplate is here. Okay, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you. So thank you. There's a lot of energy in the room. And I need 3 volunteers, people who are capable of bringing back to the room in 30 seconds what they heard from the person they spoke to. So it's not your own opinion or insight, but something you heard from this person who you spoke to. We have one there. You can take the mic and you can tell us your name and why you're here, and that's not including the 30 seconds.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So my name is Ame. I'm part of the West Wing. Little promotion here for my colleagues as well. I just had a very interesting conversation.
We don't know what the West Wing is, besides a very good TV series.
It's also a great TV show, but it's also a youth think tank by the Ministry of Foreign Policy in The Hague. So that's very great. But we just had a very great conversation. So Bas works for Emancipator, and he actually helps men and boys to discuss kind of like men and boys' role in combating gender-based violence. And beautiful conversation that we just had was really about how to kind of approach the topic. What you said, not all men are perpetrators, but most perpetrators are men. How do we approach that in a way that doesn't immediately like build up everyone's wall, and how can we actually like discuss that further? So one of the things that they do is make a difference between perpetrator and someone who has committed an act, kind of, to start off like that, and then lead from that into introspection, into your own behavior and things you might have done in the past, and then back down to how does the other party feel about this. So I think it was a really great conversation.
Thank you very much, and it allows me also to give a shout out to Emancipator, Rutgers, Women Equals Man, and many other people around this room who have been so generous with their time and their insights when I was writing the report. And the other thing is a shout out for the team of the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe and the Council of Europe and the Parliamentary Network and everybody else. There are for people who are still not onto digital, there are booklets and informations outside on the Istanbul Convention on how also to involve men and boys. But thank you for this. Any other volunteer? Now, of course, we need a gender balance. And sorry for being binary at times, talking about men and women. I try to be as inclusive as possible, but then my sentences become very long. But all genders are welcome to participate. So who can also share something they heard from their neighbor? Maria, well, I can never refuse you.
Thank you,
but please introduce first to us who don't know you.
My name is Maria Mesentsev. I'm the chairwoman of the Ukrainian delegation. I haven't... Yes, thank you very much, Pedlov.
No, we didn't hear that. So
I haven't got used to that. From January, I'm a chairwoman of the Committee on Equality and Non-Discrimination. So I spoke to my new friend and neighbor, Danny. He's from the permanent representation of Netherlands to the Council of Europe. And that's a universe which says there are no coincidences. So our ideas coincided in a way that we think we can tackle the issue of gender equality, combating violence, involving more boys and men into the issue by education channels. And that can be multiple sources, but that has to start as a dialogue from the very beginning of education. Psychologists are saying our character is formed by the age of 6, so after that, that's helpless. I'm joking. Before the age of 6. Before the age of 6, our character is formed. Then it's transformed, but that's why it's crucially essential to bring it on in the education system, because we think with Danny, children are spend half of their daytime, then it's the family, and then I have to bring this case from the Ukrainian perspective, if I may.
You get 30 seconds extra, but not more than that.
Sorry about that. I always talk too long. You said politicians can do that. So Ukraine has ratified the Istanbul Convention, even though it was a long way to go during the full-scale invasion of Russia. So we did it this summer. And I will never forget this case when the one family could not get justice in the court because the child was witnessing sexual violence in the family, and the court could not take this child as a victim. He was always a witness, and the Istanbul Convention is changing that. Moreover, with many women and children who traveled abroad, we have now the instrument coming from the Council of Europe, which Ukraine drafted together with other members 10 years ago, having a response to protection abroad. So me and Danny, we call for the inherited changes in the education system from day one, where we can bring the gender equality in there.
Thank you very much, Maria. And some people want to clap, please do, because the courage of you and your delegation. I remember the first few weeks of the war when you were coming to Strasbourg saying that you were the female diplomatic battalion. Sometimes you need war language to convince people, but this was very impressive. And I also remember when we had the plenary and when we had the acceptance of 3 reports, one on the Istanbul Convention and one by Margrethe Boer, who is sitting over there on marital captivity, while fighting marital captivity. And you as a chairwoman called on everybody in the room for ratification of the Istanbul Convention if they had not done it, because you said, and I'm paraphrasing, if we can do it during the war, what excuse do you have? And I think that's a pretty strong sentence. So now I need a male volunteer for the balance. Is there one of the men who heard something very interesting in the back? Please introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Arthur van Muitenen. I'm here from the Netherlands. I work for the International Development Law Organization. But I think my comment is mostly as a father. And with my neighbor, we had a wonderful conversation, Voela from Greece, about how important it is to keep the conversations at home as parents, but also from children to, we're children, we're fathers, we're mothers, and to keep that connection is so important. It's so easy, and I speak from my own, oh no, I should speak from your experience, but we've both had the experience of how important it is to keep the conversations at home.
Thank you very much. And I think this is also something we probably will discuss a little bit more with our next panelist. Where can we start? What is already going really well? And where can we improve? So I would like to ask Baba Tarawali, Laila Adbali, and Maarten Verhossem to take the stage. And yeah, they deserve an applause as well. They're here on a Friday afternoon. And if there are any thoughts or issues that were discussed and you feel didn't come up too much, or maybe in the train back, please don't hesitate to use, is there a mail address, Leary? Maybe send them DM to me, we will forward them, because I think there is a lot of wisdom in this room, and we cannot use all the wisdom or find all the wisdom in 2 hours. I know that after, with the drinks, people will say, I missed that we didn't discuss this and this and this. Tell me afterwards, and we'll bring it to the right people. And Women at Pace, yes, you can. Yeah, we'll get the address. Yeah. You have a question? Oh, okay. Okay, a new panel. Laila, Maarten, and Baba, thank you very much for being with us. And Laila, I would like to give you the floor first. You're the director of Women Equals Man, and you have been extremely helpful in many of the reports I have written for the Parliamentary Assembly on gender dimensions of foreign policy, on gender mainstreaming of migration policies, and also on the latest one on the role of men. And your network, for me, has been an amazing support. But I also know, and yesterday Mr. Weerwind, the Minister of Legal Protection, called on all of us to keep a mirror and be critical and look and make people look into the mirror. So please give us some critical observations as well. I know you, but now I've given you permission as well. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Petra. As you said, I'm the director of Women Equals Men, Dutch gender platform. For the ones who do not know who we are a member-based organization here in The Hague with almost 50 institutional members. Rutgers is one of them, CARE, Men Engage Alliance, Emancipator, and almost 120 individual members. We focus on the Dutch foreign policy. We aim to put women's rights and gender equality at the core. Why? Because it's important, and if we don't do that, it will fall off the agenda. And now with the feminist foreign policy, we are very glad that also our own ministers push for women's rights and gender equality in the foreign policy of the Netherlands. I must say I'm not that sharp today. My youngest had an ear infection, so I didn't have any sleep at night. My husband is now with him. So Eriksen, good luck with your child. It will be worse the coming years, but you will get a lot of love back, I promise you. But good luck. So where do we stand? As Petra also mentioned, we have a lot already in place when it comes to policy. So we have the Istanbul Convention, we have the Beijing Declaration, we have a lot of commitments, and now we need to make sure that we implement them in a holistic way. And one of the pitfalls I see, and I had the honor to speak with one of the civil servants within the Ministry of VWS. In the Netherlands, we have organized it in a very, I think, strange way. We have the Ministry of Education, who is in charge of emancipation and gender equality when it comes to the national affairs. But now we also have a Ministry of VWS who is taking, who will make sure that there will be a policy against gender-based violence. So you have these kinds of different islands, at least that can be the case, in the Netherlands without having a very holistic approach. So I would like to make sure, and also a plea from my side, is that when we make sure that we have policy, we make it holistic. So bring in the police, bring in the women's rights organizations, diaspora organizations who have a lot of information and a lot of knowledge when it comes to gender-based violence, and also make sure that men and boys are involved. Yeah, what can we say more? From Women Equals Men, we work a lot with women's rights activists abroad. And what we see is the moment they take up more space in a society, when it's political, financial, or in a society, or within their own family, they touch upon norms. Norms that are there for centuries and that are made up most of the time by men who make sure that they remain in power. They have the privileged position and they do not want to change that. So when we invest in also in women and girls to be more vocal, to take up leadership positions, we must take into account the consequences of that. What does that mean in a society? What kind of changes are occurring also in the domestic sphere? Because the reason that I can be here is because my husband is now at home taking care of the children. And if you don't have that kind of equal relationship within your own private sphere, it can be difficult. And most of the times, and unfortunately I also see that within my own direct family members and also friends, women tend to take then a step back because the man does not want to take the chores or the responsibility that come to be a father. So involve men, involve boys from an early age that it's okay to be somebody who take care of the children. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your first observations. Yeah, this whole issue of what's happening at the kitchen table is a very important one. Huh? And taking space and giving space is another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I have also in my own career as a diplomat, and I think many of the women know this, also sometimes heard from women, like, tone down a bit. Mm-hmm.